I am so excited about today's interview. This is Laura from Indianapolis, Indiana, middle of the country, out there making $1,300 to $1,500 every single week as a notary loan signing agent. Her story is crazy inspiring. It's amazing. I think a lot of people can relate to her story. What's really cool is Laura's been a loan signing system student for about a year and a half. So this is not some overnight success story. This is a good story about how she built a signing agent from scratch, a signing agent business from scratch, and how she now is at $1,300 to $1,500 every single week. And as Laura likes to say, she can take vacations whenever she wants. So Laura, I'm so happy. You're our first interview from somebody in Indiana who's just crushing it in Indiana. I'm excited to tell your story. So how does that feel when I say you make $1,300 to $1,500 every single week?
It's really amazing because I have never done anything like this before. I was in aviation for my entire adult life, and I never thought I could build my own business and make a professional income, be in a professional business, but work from home.
Incredible, right? So let's just dive right into your story because your story is absolutely amazing. So I start with a very simple question, which is, how come you became a loan signing agent?
Well, like I said, I was in aviation for my entire adult life, and um, I was in it for a long time, and I was experiencing some burnout. So I decided that it was time to make a change, and so I wanted to do something for my family that was going to be really beneficial, um,
I
and
love it.
I found Mark's course.
So let me just kind of talk through something which I heard that I think is very inspiring, right? I think a lot of people are burnt out in their careers. I think a lot of people kind of have a love-hate relationship with their job. It's like one of those things where we have to do. But you made this amazing decision, and I would probably say a scary decision to walk away from something that you spent 20 plus years in, and your late 40s, and like, look, I have to reinvent myself. So, let's kind of talk about that and talk about like how scary it was, because I think there's some people who are like, man, Laura, I'm in the same boat, girl. Don't like my job. I just don't know if I have the gumption to get up and make a change. So let's talk about like kind of that choice you made, and more importantly about the choice, about the transition. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the transition. Well, I would say it took me a little bit to figure out what I wanted to do. And I probably was soul searching for, I don't know, a few months before I actually made the jump. And because I was terrified actually of the prospect of trying to figure out how to do something or what to do in my 40s.
Well, I love it. And I love you said something that I think is resonating. You did some soul searching, I mean, it's the fact that like you were in a job you didn't like isn't weird. That's like probably every American goes through those same feelings. But what I think is really inspiring is you didn't allow the feeling of being on a treadmill to prevent you from making that next leap and making that decision of like, look, I'm gonna go. So I want to commend you on that, because a lot of people are kind of scared from that decision of like, I'm going to make a decision to make my life better. And the fact that, you're 20 years. So let's talk about that, because I think it's really inspiring. So you came from the aviation industry. So, when you made this decision of like, I'm going to reinvent myself in my late 40s, kind of talk us through how you found being a signing agent. But a lot of people watching this video today, or when they watch this on YouTube, are probably thinking, look, I have no background in mortgages. I have no background in I've never been a real estate agent. I've never been a mortgage officer. I've never been an escrow officer, et cetera. So they feel like that's like holds them back from being a signing agent. Being someone who came from aviation and not in real estate, what would you say to someone who has no background?
This is totally different than anything I'd ever tried. I was scared to death. It took me forever to take my first signing. When I did take my first signing, I had to have Kimberly Sennett talk me off the ledge, and so it was very scary for me. And but I got through my first one, and then I got on to my second one, and then on, and now I'm doing, I don't know, 3 to 5 a day, depending on the day.
Would you say anyone can learn this business?
Anyone can learn this business.
Yeah, I mean, it's really
Anyone.
cool how, after 25 years in one industry, you said, I'm going to reinvent myself. I have no choice. My family needs the income. And you became a loan signing agent, which is really cool. What I think is also cool, if we can kind of switch gears a little bit here, is, Indiana is one of a few states that requires a TPL. So for, students who are in like Maryland and Minnesota and Indiana, where you need one extra level of licensing, which are the only 3 states that need that extra level. Let's talk about someone who's in Indiana who says, well, I don't really, what this TPL thing. So let's talk about through the TPL. What does TPL stand for?
Title producer's license.
And
So you have to be a licensed title producer in the state of Indiana. Basically, it's just a 1-day course. You can take it online. You can take it online, or you can go. I prefer to take it in person because you hear the questions that other people in the class have, and you can learn a lot more that way, I think. But you can do it online as well. So, it's very simple. It's not hard. It shouldn't stop anyone from doing loan signings.
I love that you said it, because I get a lot of these emails from students in Indiana. Well, I don't have TPL, and look, it's just one extra level of certification. It takes
Right.
1 day, costs $150 to $200 depending where you get the class from, whether it's online. So it's not a terrible big expense. And so literally it is notary commission, TPL, and you're off doing signings in the state of Indiana. Is that correct?
Right. That's it.
Easy
So
peasy.
get your commission, finish your course, and get your TPL, and then you're off and running.
I love it. So you're in the state of Indiana, and so you're currently getting business from direct title companies and obviously signing services as well.
That's correct.
And notary signing agents is a thriving business in the state of Indiana.
Yes. I need some help, please. I need some help.
Well, the signing service for you is right around the corner, girl. I know it is. I'm so excited about your success. But I really like talking. I know not everyone's going to relate to because everyone's not in Indiana. So we're going to talk about, getting the business, which is the same everywhere. And I just want to make sure if anyone's in Indiana watching this, like, don't let the TPL hold you back, is what you're saying.
Right. Don't let it hold you back. Don't let it hold you back.
And you're working.
It's very simple. You have paperwork to look at beforehand if you want to read through the classwork beforehand, and you just go and take the class and you're done.
Easy peasy. I love it.
Easy.
So hope some Indiana students watching this realize that it should not be a barrier to entry to get your TPL license. It's more or less like applying for a notary commission. You're applying for your TPL.
Right.
Once you have that, title companies will use as a notary signing agent. So let's kind of talk about your journey, because I think your journey is also inspiring, because as you probably know, we have some family members or that, just go out, ride the gates, and they just go from 0 signings to, 50 signings in 2 months. That wasn't your case. And so I actually think your story is more relatable, because it's more of a true trajectory to get where you are today, doing $1,300 to $1,500 a week. So I want, hopefully your story to inspire some other signing agents, whether the loan signing system students or not, about, what your journey looked like. Because look, I know right out of the gate, you weren't doing $1,300 a week, right? It was
no, not at all.
Business. So let's talk about that so people can get inspired on, what your journey looked like. Because I always tell people, students, that, there's no right or wrong way to build a business. There's just your way. So let's talk about your way. So, you've been, a LSS student for a year and a half, and so you started getting signings after conference, I think a couple years ago now, 2 conferences ago, so I should say, not a couple years. So let's talk about trajectory and try to inspire some people, because you're now at $1,300 to $1,500 a week, like clockwork, and you just said you need help, you're so busy, but it hasn't always been like that. So take us through the beginning couple months. What do those beginning couple months look like, and try to encourage other people just to stick with it, and they can build a business too.
The first couple months, I dug into all the material and was trying to learn as much as I could about being a notary and doing loan signings and going to conference and getting my TPL and all that. So I really didn't even start doing loan closings until probably June, and I started in January. So I was doing some general notary work during that time.
That's great. So I just want to touch bases that, you kind of just did your general notary right out of the gate, and There's nothing wrong with that, right? It took you
Right.
got 6 months of just doing some GNW, as the way the industry says it. But yeah, general notary work to get your feet wet. You finally got your TPL, and then you finally went out and started signing up for signing services. And I think it's really encouraging for some more people on the outside looking in. So, for someone looking at this for the first time, saying, "Man, I'm nervous. I still haven't done my first signing." Basically, took you 6 months to warm up for that first
Right.
appointment.
Right. If I had to do it over, hindsight 2020, I would have immediately gotten my TPL and started right after I got my commission. So,
But like I
you
said,
know,
there's no right or wrong way. And I think it's
exactly.
inspiring. Actually, Laura, I think it's inspiring because there are some students who go right out of the gate, and there's some students like you who it was 6 months of general notary work for whatever reason. And that's not right or
Because
wrong.
I was scared. Because I was scared.
That's right. And I think that's okay to say. And I think it's awesome, by the way. I think it's really cool that, you're very open with your journey and that you were scared. And I think a lot of people feel the same way, but you're now a $1,500 a week signing agent who needs help because they're so busy. And you started off with 6 months of just GNW. So I think that's really, really cool. I honestly, I hope people get inspired by that. And what I want people to get inspired by is you didn't give up.
Right.
And I think that is probably
Um, I think I saw the vision. I saw the potential, and I know that I'm a hard worker, and I know that I can accomplish whatever I decide to set, my sights on. So I think if you have a little bit of confidence in yourself, even if you're scared or if you're hesitant to start something new, I think you can, if you apply yourself, you can, if you're consistent and you apply yourself, you can really do well at this business.
I love it. So let's talk about, so you waited 6 months for your first signing for whatever reason. So 6 months runs around, you're like, look, I'm going to do it. I'm ready now. You started working for signing services, you said, before I kind of jumped in there.
Right.
So how long were you working for signing services before you started going and getting that direct business? So once again, I'm trying to take you through a journey of a $1,500 a week signing agent.
Okay, well, so June 28th was when I got my first signing.
I love how you remember it. That's really cool.
June 28th. That was my very first signing. And right after that, I took a trip to Virginia Beach. So I took a week off after my first signing. Then from there through, I would say, through November 4th, I believe, when I took my trip to China. That was when I got back from China, I was like, I've got to get my, now that I have some experience with signing services, now I've got to start really pounding pavement and working on the direct.
Okay, so here's what I heard. So you basically, it took you 6 months, vacations outside. First signings June, then January, you said, I'm going to the first of the year. You're like, I got to get going. So vacations aside, it took you about 6 months of working with signing services before you were then ready to make that next jump into direct.
Right.
Which I think is really inspiring. So the way the journey is going on, which I think people should see, is it took you 6 months of just doing general notary work. It took you 6 months of just working with signing services. And then a year into it, you're like, I'm going full bore. And I think the journey is really cool because, like I said, Laura, some people's journey is different. It's like, I just interviewed Irene and one of the family members who in 4 months scaled to $4,000 and started doing direct business after like 60 days. Cool.
That's
great.
Awesome.
But everyone's journey is different. So your journey, I think, is as inspiring because there's some people who are like you are, who are a little more shy, kind of like Robin Schmidt, who's one of our biggest producers.
Yeah.
And so it took a year for you to go to direct, and I think that's awesome. I think that journey of 6 months of general notary work, 6 months of SS to, okay, January 1st coming, I'm gonna start marketing title business. And so now you haven't looked back since then. So now you're getting a mixture of direct business in Indiana and signing services. You're creating those relationships. I think the journey's awesome, man. And now you're a $1,500 a week signing agent. So, I always like to ask, successful signing agents like yourself, what is one tip that you could give a current signing agent or a newbie, doesn't matter, that will help grow their business that has helped grow yours? What's that one thing you're like, take this piece of advice because it helped my business?
Okay. The one piece of advice is that if you're feeling fear, take your next step. That's your trigger to know when it's time to get out of whatever you're doing and move on. So just like when I got back from China, I was like, I've got to go direct, and I immediately within 2 weeks started going direct. So just when you feel the fear, move through it and take your next step. It's time.
You know, this is, I think, coming from you, that is really powerful, because you were someone in your late 40s who had to reinvent themselves because you just made a decision of like, my current job, I don't like it, and I refuse to stay in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were fearful, like you described, of making the jump to reinventing yourself. Then you were fearful of going out and doing signings. So it took you 6 months of doing general notary work. And then you did 6 months working with signing services. And like you just said, you were fearful of going direct. So you said, I just got to go direct. So I think that's really powerful coming from yourself, because your story dictates that you're not one of those people who are just like, I'm going to do it. You have to methodically go through, which I believe is like most people. And so I think it's really powerful that when you're saying, which I think is really cool, and that's why I love these interviews, is the moment that you have the fear is the moment that you need to make the jump.
Yes.
I think it's really cool. So when you feel fear, that's kind of like a sign to yourself of like, I got to do it.
Do it now.
I love it.
Do it now.
I love it. And I think it's really cool, like I said, because you know you've had so many moments of your journey in the past couple of years of being scared, and now look at you. I mean, you literally are like, I need to open a signing service. Like, that is so awesome. I'm so proud of you. Like I said, you know what I love about this? You're so welcome, because you're not an overnight success story like some of our students. And I love the people who, like Robin Schmidt was a signing agent for 5 years before she broke $4,000 a month. So, and she's a $15,000 a month student. So my point is, like, every journey is different, you know, like you've been doing it for a year and a half, 2 years. It took Robin 5. So like, there's no right or wrong way to build a business. And thank you for being transparent with your scared and with your being fearful.
Yeah.
So I think some people,
I was very fearful.
and I think it's you're fearful.
Now I don't know why. Now I don't know why, because I'm having so much fun.
And I think it's really cool that you're able to share that with everybody. And look at you now, Laura. Look at you now. So excited. So, you know, kind of on that same tip, what we just said, but I hope you have a different nugget for the student, for people watching, is, you know, now looking back at your career, being that you were so fearful, what is something specific that you were fearful about then, that now looking back, you're like, I don't know why I was so timid?
The paperwork. It was the paperwork, because I didn't fully understand all of the paperwork, and I just needed more, you know, reading through the paperwork more, and going through the course more, and just doing all my training, and I guess that's it. That would be it.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you know, you felt overwhelmed with all the paperwork.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was definitely overwhelmed with the paperwork.
And once again, you're overwhelmed because you've never done it before. I mean, like,
right.
I was overwhelmed trying to get a car for the first time, right? And so we all were. So, you know, that's not abnormal to be overwhelmed. But what I heard is, through going over the course or going through signings, is you just realize that you can get through that learning curve. And so it's, you now looking back, you're like, man, it was just a learning curve I had to go through, nothing else. Right.
That's exactly right.
And so, you know, I think that's really cool, is letting people know, like, you know, and I think this is a really great interview, because, you know, you're very honest with your being timid, and you're very honest with, you know, the being scared each step. And then each step of the way, though, you overcame it by going like, look, I just have to literally have to do it to overcome it.
Right.
And I think that's very relatable to a lot of people, you know. So, dude, this has been a great interview. I think you've inspired a lot of people. Let's kind of wrap up with this. You know, I want to bring it back home to, you know, what I really think is probably the most inspirational part of this whole interview is that you made a very bold decision in your late 40s that I have to redefine myself after 20+ years in one industry. So for somebody looking at this interview saying, man, Laura, I'm on the same boat. I don't like my job. I'm scared to take that step of reinventing myself. You know, what I think you did was pretty bold, by the way, of saying, I'm all in on this new reinvention. A lot of people can be a signing agent kind of part-time and don't have to quit their job per se. But for that person who's like, man, Laura, I'm scared to reinvent myself in my late 40s. Speak to
Mhm.
somebody who's in their late 40s, you know, or 50s, or 60s.
Oh
And
yeah, it doesn't matter.
so my question I want you to answer from your own point of view is, you know, someone looking at themselves saying, man, I'm scared to reinvent myself. What
It's never
advice?
too late. It is never too late. Um, this is a fun career. It's flexible with your family. You know, you can be there for your kids. You can be there for your grandkids. You can be there for your husband. It's wonderful. I don't know what else I can say. It's
Well, I
it's
think
for
it's, I think
it's for everybody. Everybody could do it. Anybody can do it. So
what I think I
don't let
heard,
age stop you. Don't let age stop you.
that's right. Now, well, I think that's kind of what I wanted to say again, is you said it's never too late. You
Right.
know, you're in your late 40s and you're like, I got to just reinvent myself. While it was scary, are you glad you made that decision to reinvent
I
yourself?
am. I love my career now. I loved my career before, but I was just burned out and I was ready for a change. And this is a very good change. And I'm able to have the flexibility, do what I want, be my own boss, have the support, have all the support I need, and do what I want when I want. So, I mean, it's perfect.
I love it. I mean, what I tell all you students is every day you work for somebody else, you're building their dreams.
Right.
They are hiring you to build their vision. When you work for yourself, every day you're building your dreams, you're building your vision. And that is probably the most amazing feeling that people, if they've never experienced, don't know how amazing and euphoric it is. That every day you work for yourself, every day you're like, I can do it. And Laura, I want to wrap up with this. I mean, honestly, the fact that you were so scared every step of the way, whether it was reinventing yourself, not even doing signing for 6 months, just doing general notary work, and then only working for signing services for 6 months, and then finally saying, I'm going direct. I mean, every step of the way has not been easy for you. Every step
Right.
of the way, you've been a little shy, you've been a little timid, you've been a little like, what am I going to do here? But at the end of the day, a year and a half, 2 years later, you look back and you are making so much volume that you need to start hiring other signing agents. And that is the next best part about our business, is you can scale it, right? It's like, look, I can make money when I'm on these vacations. So Laura, thank you
Exactly.
so much for letting people know that in Indiana, you can make a ton of money. In Indiana, don't let a TPL license hold you back. And no matter what state you're in, don't let fear hold you back, because all it is, you got to get through that learning curve. And once you're on the other side, you have a $1,500 a week business.
Yes. Awesome.
Well, thank you, Laura, so much. I can't wait to see you start the signing service. Thank you for inspiring people. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.